If you find yourself just a little bit nosy about how other people plan, I think you're gonna like this video. Back by popular request, I'm gonna take you behind the scenes and show you how I set up the inside of my Simplified Planner every year. So I have been away from corporate life and working for myself as an entrepreneur for almost 4 years now, and I have used this planner every single year that I've been in business. So they have taken me from being completely on my own by myself to building up a team and bringing in more than 7 figures with my copywriting business. But probably more important, these planners have seen me change from being a wide-eyed newlywed having no idea what I'm doing to now being a mama bear to a sweet little one and also having absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So in this video, I'm going to open up this puppy and take you behind the scenes of how I set up my Simplified Planner every year. So here it is, 6 tips to breaking in, simplifying, and enjoying your new paper calendar, whatever tool you may use. If you're excited about this, maybe a planning nerd like me, then hit that like button below and you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button right there and the bell next to it. That's how you are going to be first to know when these videos drop every single Tuesday. All right, let's jump in. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is get a tool. Like I've mentioned, my go-to is this planner from Emily Ley. I'm actually gonna open it. It comes in this beautiful box, and this is the New Year's planner. So here we go. Crinkly paper and all. So I am super digitally minded and tech oriented. I live and die by my Google Calendar, and I use a tool called CoSchedule for our content calendar planning in my business. But I love a good paper planner. I think I just need something beside me during the day to use as a scratch pad and jot ideas on and get my messy thoughts out and on paper. As we get started, I'm curious, do you use a paper planner or a digital planner, or are you like me and use somewhat of a hybrid approach? Go ahead and comment below. Let me know, what kind of planner do you use? So I'm starting my 4th year using this brand, this type of planner, the Simplified one. For me, I like paper planners. There's something nostalgic to it. Definitely was that kid that got a planner every year for Christmas in the 90s growing up. But I know you've heard the statistics about research showing that when you actually take the time to slow down and mindfully write something out, you tend to remember it more. That's why I like paper. I get asked a lot when it comes to the Simplified Planner, which one do I actually use? I like the daily one. I tend to need a lot of space. I'm gonna give you a full walkthrough of this, but let me show you about how much space. See, that's one whole day. We'll go through it in depth, but I use this for home and business. Before I jump in though, I wanna clear up. I also have a tool called Power Sheets I created a video about last week, and that is the goal setting planner I use. So these two things I use in tandem, but they are different. So you will never come into my office and not see these two things sitting over on my desk side by side. While Power Sheets helps me understand and see the monthly big picture, I use this Simplified Planner to actually jot down my day-to-day to-dos and cross them out. Let me show you around the inside of the planner. Okay, keep in mind, this is the planner that I have found works for me, but I absolutely love it. So this is pretty thick. I'm gonna let you see how thick it is as well. And then the cover is nice and hefty, which is great and durable, puts up with travel really well. Now this ring has never given me problems. Some people have complained, I think, but Emily does talk about in some videos not to bend it back too much or else you may risk the pages popping out. I've never had that problem, so maybe, I don't know, I've never had that problem and I literally keep it pulled back all the time. I'm gonna go through some of this part in just a moment, but you can see right here you get started where you have some nice stickers to get going. Now the color as well that I like, I am a neutrals girl. I don't like pink, I don't like a lot of bright colors. I like things clean and simple, and so this is called Blue Pinstripe. It's the cover that I most like, but Emily and the Simplified team have a lot to choose from. So to keep going in this, the paper is lovely. As I mentioned, it is nice and durable. This, if you are a paper lover or a recovering stationer like me, it is a 70-pound Mohawk paper, so it's great about bleed. Now, some of my favorite pen tools to use when writing it, my favorite pens are Le Pen, typically. I also like Caran Dash for ballpoint pens, but I found that these don't bleed. I'll show you that in a moment, which I really like. I also use a lot of pencil. Blackwing tends to be my go-to on that. So let's go ahead and get started with this page. I will go ahead and write my name in. Like I said, this is the daily planner. If you need a little less space, there's the weekly ones. If you can't figure out which one is a fit for you, the Simplified team has a quiz that you can take to figure it out. I'll link that below. The next thing I do is all the prep work that is in the front of the book. So I get to this part of the process, if you will, right about the time every year, November, December, that I'm starting to work through my power sheets for the upcoming year and also sit down and process what this year has been like and what I want to see change in the new year. That is the same time that I'm pulling this out and working through these prep pages. Like I said, I'll link that power sheets video, but I thought it was worth mentioning that at this point in working on these pages, I've done a lot of thinking about the new year. All right, the next part of the process I'm going to do is going through this prep work at the beginning. So there's a note from the team, and we keep moving on. Just some information in their mindset about simplifying things. You have an entire annual calendar here. I'll show you the monthly pages. I don't really look at this page much because they are in your pages that you're probably in a little more often anyway. I do like this, a spread of all the holidays that are coming up in the year, but these are the best pages right here. So there is some opportunity for you to jump in and work through a little bit what you think worked last year, didn't work. So if you don't use a tool like Power Sheets, you have an opportunity to do that right here. The team at Simplified talks about routine and rhythm all the time. So I really appreciate that there's some opportunity here for you to write down ideas for new routines. Now, I will say this space this year is a lot smaller than it was last year. I write down, I have a morning and an evening routine, but I also have what I call my work to rest, wind down routine, and my rest to work, wind up routine. Basically, before I close down for the day at work, I have a set of tasks that I do, just kind of check in and then close things down. So because there's not a lot of room this year, I will probably write those in these new note pages that they have at the front of the book. So that's not been there in the past. That's something new, which I will definitely use. The last pages during the prep work, this is gold. Every January, I go through all 30 of these tasks. You just do one simple task a day, and they put you in such a great mood at the beginning of the new year to kind of clear out, clean out things, throw things away, and then just get started with a little bit more of a minimalist approach. I also like this idea for a yearly bucket list, so I may use that as well. The first thing is folding up and sliding in a piece of paper that I call my time stewardship vision statement. My students inside the Art of Efficiency, my productivity program, know that I love that document. It's essentially a vision statement where I'm reminding myself that I do have enough hours in the day to get things done that are actually important to me. I just need to remember how to prioritize well. I also fold and put in this pocket my dream week schedule. I go over it in detail in that program, but these two tools correlate with the overall time batching and blocking system that I have set up in my business. At this point, it's a well-oiled machine. So those two things are folded up and in that front pocket inside my planner. Sticker sheets from Simplified and notebooks fit in really well here too. What I've learned though is since this pocket is pretty deep, it's not always the best pocket for like small pieces of paper or coupons. So make sure that the things you're sliding in here are things you're actually not gonna lose. The next thing I do is add in standing events, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, vacations, regularly standing meetings, and our launches or marketing promo periods. This means digging into these monthly pages themselves, so let's keep going in the planner. Okay, the tabs stair step, they're also in the colors that the company calls Happy Stripe, so they're nice and bright. They hold up really well too over time. So gonna jump to January. Now each monthly spread has this note section down the side. I used to use that when I first got it a lot. I've found the last couple of years I don't use that a whole lot, but there are your last month and your upcoming month, and a little tip each month called your simplicity tip, kind of like that as well. So let me show you as well the days after this. Like I said, this is the daily planner. So there's going to be an entire page for every single day except Saturday and Sunday. I'll show you that in a sec. But each color stays the same. So every Thursday is going to be in green, so on and so forth, and the pages stay the same. So Wednesday will always be on the left side. Thursday will always be on the right, which is kind of nice because you can depend on that. That's one of those little nerdy things that would throw you off, I think, if they switched up. So I like that, and I appreciate too the My Day side is jotted out hour by hour, and your to-do list can go down the other side. You may have heard me say this in other videos, but what I tend to do on the to-do list page is write down my big three. So I'll write down 1 and then 3 action steps on it. Second item, 3 action steps. Third item, 3 action steps. Then from the bottom up, I write any other to-dos or household to-dos, and that is it. If I cannot fit it onto these, however many there are, I'm 99.999% sure I cannot get it done in a day. And then at the bottom, the notes section, I tend to write down breakfast, lunch, and dinner plans and do that during my weekly planning. And yeah, besides that, I just scroll in there. So that is what each page looks like from a month standpoint and a day standpoint. So I'm going to keep walking through how I get this set up. So I'm going to come back to this monthly spread. This next part that I want to do is add in these standing events, these birthdays, these anniversaries. Now, there is that calendar app at the beginning. You'll also find that holidays are written throughout. But one thing that I really turn to and use is a tool called a perpetual calendar. So this is the Simplified Team's home base binder I use all the time for our household to-dos. But what I'm going to do is whip this puppy out. This is our perpetual calendar. So these are dates that stay the same. You'll find mostly birthdays and anniversaries on there. So I'm going to pull that out and use it to go through and add in birthdays. So let me show you what that would look like. I know that Becca's birthday is going to be here. And then I'll also go in and I like to add it on the day itself. I used to not do that and then I would forget. So I'm going to add it again there. Now, my mom did this growing up and I've adopted it. She would always write birthdays and anniversaries in a different color. She used red. I tend to use green, but that helps things stand out in my paper planner. So while I'm doing this, I typically do go ahead and use ink for the things that I know are not going to change, but I have pencils nearby. I'll tell you about going from week to week in a moment, but if I think something may change, I'm going to jot it down in pencil. Next, as I look at any trips or vacations that are already set in stone, and I'll add those in. I like to use washi tape to block these out. I just ordered some more neutral colored washi tape from Appointed that I am so excited about getting in, so I'll probably use that more this year. The next thing I'm going to do is add in my work schedule. My students inside my Prime to Launch program know I love my quarterly champagne campaign system. Basically, that's a fancy way to say I like having one big marketing promo period every quarter, and that's it. The rest of the time, I like to serve. Using that and the count back technique that I teach, I go ahead and add in all of our marketing promo periods for the upcoming year. This is already all figured out at this point. Now, you may know that I batch days. I have marketing Mondays, client work on Tuesdays, product development Wednesdays, meetings on Thursdays, and finance Fridays with a little bit of education thrown in. Like I said, well-oiled machine at this point. But something new I'm going to try in 2020, so I'm going to go ahead and mark these in my planner too, are more batch weeks. So I'm going to pick a focus for weeks. Maybe it is a certain product that we have or a client system that we have, and I'm going to spend those 5 days focused on that project within those batch days. So I'm going to add those into the planner as well. If you're still jiving with me, then you've added in dates that aren't going to change in pen or in ink, and then you've added potentially subject to change things in pencil. So for appointments and work schedules and other things, at this point, I'm only going to add in what is set in stone. So I'm not going to get very far in actually planning for maybe the whole month of January because it's only the beginning of December as I'm recording this. And if you're like me, most of your life is digital. You probably track your to-dos or your calendar with some sort of digital app. So here's what I do, and I've talked about this in some other videos, but on Sundays I sit down and I make sure that everything that's in my digital calendars is transferred to my paper calendar. I do this for the next 2 weeks every Sunday. To see more about how I plan my week-to-week process, then watch this video right here, and I will also link it below. Next, I commit to monthly and weekly check-ins. You never know what's going to come at you in a day, a week, or a month, right? Now, I talked about my batch system just a moment ago, but one thing that I have found helpful, no matter if you're using a Simplified Planner or whatever planner, is going ahead and committing to yourself that you're going to have monthly and weekly check-ins to actually assess your system and see if it's even working for you. This is when I pull out my power sheets and my weekly planner for my little rhythm I call my weekly examine. I also do this at the end of every month. Here's a bonus tip if you're not overwhelmed with notebooks and paper yet and you really like it. This is a tool that I love from Val Marie Paper. These are her prayer journals, and I use this during my quiet times in the morning. So when I'm going through my monthly planning and my weekly planning periods, I usually whip it out as well so I can kind of see along the way what prayer requests were answered or what's been on my heart, what am I working through, that kind of thing. Let's look at the weekend pages in the Simplified Planner so you can see what those look like. On Sundays, you can jot down a happy memory from the week, and then these are included every Sunday. So they're just some pre-written tasks probably the things you're doing on Sunday anyway, planning for the week ahead, tidying up, writing down tasks and appointments, enjoying the things that matter most. The weekend pages always look just like this. You've still got that nice white space up at the top. I usually write in here my husband's work schedule or any other little to-dos that I need to remember that day. The days themselves don't have the delineated times the regular weekdays have, but you also get that to-do list baked in as well. Now, like I said, I talk about my Sunday routine in another video, so I will link that down below. But one thing I am going to add in is one thing I do every single Wednesday is something called weekend planning. So what I'd probably do during this point is have Netflix on and be writing things that I do every single week, like my Finance Friday check-in and weekend planning. So I'm gonna write that down. And then let's go ahead and add, because I will do it every single Friday until the end of time. And I'll have my first task be going through the workflow, which includes checking in with my bookkeeper, paying all of our bills, making sure that credit cards are all paid off for the week for the business, and any other tasks. That I have also talked about, and I will link that down below. And then any other finance-related tasks that I need to look at, maybe it is employee paperwork or calling a bank, anything like that, I will actually outline here as well. My last tip is to actually use it. Put it to work and make it messy. I tend to keep my planner around and flipped back like this on my desk. So during any day, let's say it's a Monday in February, here's one. I would just keep this like this on my desk. I tote this around from the house back to my office, throw it in my car, so I appreciate the durability. Like I said, that ring has never given me problems before. I did want to pull out my planner from this year so you can see kind of how it's worn. So this has been through so many flights. You can see a little bit how it's worn off some of that gold at the top. That doesn't bother me because all in all, it has stayed in great shape. What I wanted to show you though is how like pages tend to look once they're all beat up. Yeah, no rhyme or reason. I just throw stickers on pages. One thing I do always write is my morning routine up at the top so I can keep that in mind. And you can see how things get pretty messy. I plot out stuff in pencil. I use the stickers just to play around, and this is a very normal page right here. So I keep it nice and messy, nothing pristine, nothing specifically color coordinated. I feel like at the end of the day, it looks more like an artist's studio, all messy when it's said and done, but something good came out of it, I hope. Now, I've said this before, both here in these videos and also to my students, the trick to any system, whether it is a piece of software or a paper planner, whatever it is, the best tip is to pick one and make it work. And I always say, don't just dip your baby toe in, but jump in, get your hair wet, and try to make it work for you. The best system or tool is going to be the one that you use. For me, it's been these simplified planners year after year after year. If you're interested in hearing more about the rhythms that I have in both my life and my business, then be sure to check out my free masterclass below, Time Well Designed, How to Get Freed Up to Focus as a Creative. And if you're ready to go ahead and get your hands on your very own simplified planner, or browse and shop and see which one could be a fit for you, then look down below and you'll see a link where you can get started shopping. And be sure to watch the next video so you can see all about how I use that Power Sheets tool that I mentioned so I can dream and vision cast and figure out what in the world I'm gonna fill in the pages of my daily planner. I hope you found this helpful. If it was, hit that like button and subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.